Life is so short. Moments, memories, and adventures are constantly flooding in and yet disappearing before we even realized how big of an impact they'd made on our lives. Hello, my name is Sam Crones. If you don't know me, I'm a guitarist slash musician slash producer slash creative freelance out of Orange County, California. I make videos like this on Instagram. The video I'm about to show you was taken about 2 weeks before I left for my band's West Coast tour back in March. It's sort of a compilation of steps that I took into being more prepared for an endeavor of that size. If you want to check out the whole tour itself, I do have a separate vlog up on my channel. You can probably go check that out up here if I'm correct. I just wanted to introduce you to the art of being prepared. Filming this kind of kept me on track into all of the things that I wanted to get done. Hopefully some of these apply to you in the same way. If you're working on a big project or a lot of work all at the same time, this is a lot of stuff that I kind of think about when I go into situations like this, being everywhere all at once. But yeah, without further ado, welcome to the art of being prepared. Well, a lot, really, but it's probably enough to make a whole separate video on. So for today, let's just talk prep work. But first, a visitor. So, before we take off on a fully booked run, we've got to handle a few things prep-wise, and the kind people over at Diodario were nice enough to send me over their influencer care package. Not sponsored, by the way. I actually have no idea what's in it, so I figured it could be cool to unbox it on camera and see what we got. After that, I got to do some merch prep work, rehearsals, and the miscellaneous. So, let's get started. Finally got it open. Oh, that's so cute. So they sent me a t-shirt. It looks like it's the first thing. Aww. Alright, and then we've got whatever this is. I'm not too sure. Oh my goodness, there's so much stuff in here. Dude, okay, the tab to open. What are these? Feels like Christmas, dude. Are these just stickers? That's cool. So they get me this little like invitation. We got a little QR code on the inside that I can scan, which I'm going to do. Emergency pick. Oh wait, that's so funny. Wait, that's hilarious. So they've got these like little business card things that just say emergency pick, but you can like tear this open and you can pull out like a pick. I'm gonna keep this in my wallet for when Jack is on stage and needs to grab a pick from me because he never carries his own. Moving on, I guess. Of course, they got me some strings, which is very cool. I used to play on Elixirs, and then Stringjoy hit me up, said they wanted to make me a sponsored artist, and I was just like, yeah, that's crazy, because like I like their strings, you know? 9 packs of strings. I'm never gonna need any more strings in my life. Amazing, thank you guys. Rechargeable tuner, pro winder. This is really cool. 20-foot, 1/4-inch. Yes, please. I need more of these. Oh my goodness. That's very cool. And then we've got more stickers. A strap. Sick. This is gonna be amazing because on tour, or at least prepping for tour, there are so many things that I don't like actively think about, but going through these is like, it's amazing. Thank you, Diodario. Again, not sponsored, but these guys are dope. Thank you for sending these over. Okay, let's go work on the merch. So, one thing about tour prep, or prep for anything I guess, is that a lot of the time there's only so much you can do. Like, communicating with people can be pretty difficult at times, and sometimes sticking to your own schedules and planning things for yourself can be the best thing that you can do to kind of progress the process. So, in an attempt to stick to my own schedule, today I guess I'll organize the merch. So I think by far the most annoying part about this whole thing is that we need to wrap every single t-shirt into a little compact sized ball like that. And the reason we do that is so it conserves the most space in the bag as possible, and I can always write on the outside like the size. So if I'm just reaching in and I don't have to check the tag, I just like, oh, it's medium, and then, you know, hand it off. Whatever. This takes forever. A more recent funny thing that we've been doing is keeping these ducks at our merch stand. And when I say these ducks, I mean these ducks. These are, I don't actually know where I got them from. I had an insane amount of these and I've never purchased one in my whole life. I just keep getting gifted them from random people, and I think that is the most hilarious thing ever, because why does everybody have these ducks? And even better, every time that we give, like, we go to a show or something, I'll have these ducks on the merch table, instantly draws people in. That's the trick. Not only that, but it also gets everybody ecstatic. If you give them a duck, I've been doing that recently, amazing. Okay, now with this mess sprawled across the floor, give me a few minutes and then we will finish. So with what you can see here, I've got everything packed up in a duffel bag. A lot of you might actually be asking, oh, why a duffel bag? Like, you'd think if you're bringing merch on tour, you're gonna bring it in like a box or like a few boxes. Actually, that is less convenient because with a duffel bag, think about it, you can roll it up the more t-shirts you sell. So the less merch you have in the bag, the more you can roll the bag, the more space you have in the van, the more legroom you get, right? I like to think of it as kind of like somebody's dangling like a carrot in front of my face, except the carrot is actually just like more legroom in the van. So the more merch I sell, the more legroom I get, and that's enticing. So as you can see here, we've kind of got all of our like hoodies and t-shirts in this big bag, right, which I'll zip up later. All of the tapes and then the CDs and then the posters just kind of laying here for now because I'm not quite sure where to fit them in regards to this bag, so I might end up having like another box that I just put all of these items in, and it'll help us like carry around kind of the miscellaneous items that we end up having as well. So now that that's all fine and dandy, I guess all ready to rehearse? Hello. Alright, so we just arrived. We're gonna rehearse at Hunter and Luke's house, but sadly those two won't actually be joining us on this run. Got Ryan Tarbutton and Brandon Wagner joining us. So Ryan's playing drums, Brandon's playing bass. He's standing in front of the car right now. They're both actually the drummer and bassist for Pseudovision, so they'll be joining us on this run, but it makes things easier because it means less people in the car as well. So that's kind of cool. Okay, here we go.
He's arrived.
Doesn't it look like an empty battery?
Oh, it does actually, yeah. Dude, that autofocus is fucking crazy. Look
it does look really nice.
Ah!
Oh god, you can see like the circles under my eyes.
Yeah!
Your boy just finished an album. Oh, in the glass. Oh my god!
merch is kind of taken care of and we've rehearsed, I figured I'd walk you through a little bit of like what goes on behind the scenes, especially as the tour dates start to get closer and closer. First things first, I'm actually going to show you the spreadsheet we've been working with for this run. It was originally designed by my friend Julian. There's his Instagram. He does tour management, and he's actually helping us out on this tour by managing it while we're on the run. He does a crazy good job at keeping all my brain spill nonsense in order on one page, so I don't get confused as much. You guys can see here we've got all of the cities, like weekday, day of the week, that sort of stuff. Who I'm talking to get this kind of set up. The promoter, if there is one, the status of the venue, any performers I had on the bill, show, if it's been announced, venue, that's all stuff that I've added later. But it started with that, and there's like different tabs down here for like routing questions, and then budgets, and then stage plots, stuff like that. So yeah, it's pretty neat. But this thing's huge for planning a long run of shows like this because it keeps all my thoughts in one place. Like, I think if I was unorganized, this whole thing would have literally never happened. I mean, there are so many different moving parts in something as big as this. It's hard to keep track of them all at one point in time, you know what I mean? It's like, which bands have you asked to play? Which bands do you need to follow up with? Which venues have you asked, and which is the best budget-wise for your potential income for the show? Obviously, before all of this, you want to think about where you want to tour, like routing. How much time to leave in between each show to ensure that the drive time doesn't, like, knock you out behind the wheel? Where are your rest days? Are there any other big shows happening the same night in the area that you're playing that might cause some competition or some clashes? It's all these little things that you don't really start to think about until you go and try and plan a tour by yourself or on your own, and then it all comes like flooding in. You're like, wow, this is really a lot of work. Yeah, this whole thing was like a huge learning experience for me, and I think is definitely one of those act confident, learn as you go moments. What I'm saying here is buy some merch, come out to a show, come support. It does mean a bunch to be able to see some friendly faces there. That's how you know it's worth it.
You know what I mean? Because, I mean, it probably starts with
What?
This is the best. In like the 50s or the 60s? I know. Well, because dogs would come up and attack. I knew it was for dogs. on a road. That's sick.
They're taping the whole thing too, not just like corners. They're like, they mean business.
They do.
We got it. It's like the forbidden stairs.
Really very much this much space.
Yeah. Yes. Plus, well, are we doing Moscow?
So this is where we can all start to learn a little bit more about the art of being prepared. Because of course, it is an art form in and of itself. The more prepared you are, probably the better your outcome is gonna be. And now, the reason I call it an art form is because it is. Everybody as an artist or a creative has a different voice, a different way they experience things. The more you partake in your art form, the more you develop your voice and your own way of doing things. Everyone has their own way of being prepared or their own routine that they follow, and it's not something that you can really get good at overnight, but rather a bunch of consistency that you put in that slowly builds up over time into something bigger. Now, especially when it comes to touring as a DIY band or an independent band, I also need to be okay with kind of having the worst happen, because that's life. Even things like getting a flat tire, having a vehicle breakdown, these are things that you can't really prepare for in the long run, but you can prepare to be unprepared, if that makes sense. Some of it's even just a mental game. It's all these things that can change your mindset if you are constantly navigating the idea of uncertainty. In this case, embracing uncertainty might be your best option. But of course, being prepared is something that even I still work at tirelessly. I have some form of ADD or ADHD that makes it very difficult for me to focus at times, so staying on task can feel very overwhelming. Sometimes I fall victim to letting preparation slip because it's so easy to, but then the repercussions that I end up facing afterwards kind of train me to not make that same mistake again, or to not be unprepared again in the same way that I just was. So yeah, all that to say, it's all in time. For me, it was finding the right time to start, which is usually never, so I guess forcing myself to start, because as soon as you do that, it's all up from here.